Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Astronomy 120, Section 71 in the spring of 2026. From the get-go, I really want to applaud your courage in taking this class because when you have the option between taking a full-term class and a short-term class, you chose the short-term. This is an intensive course because you have less time to do the same amount of work as your peers who are taking the long version of this very same class. So I really want to make sure that you guys are aware of that this is going to be the same content whether you take astronomy, because I have another section that started in January, about a month ago actually, and it's the same class, the same content. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware of the fact that it's the same content, but because it's a shorter time, that means it's more work on your behalf on a regular basis. Okay. So if the others are required to put about 6 to 7 hours a week, you have to really add about a fifth of that amount to it. So, for example, if it's 10 hours, you need to add 2 hours. If it's 5 hours, you need to add another extra hour because of the short period. It's not me who chose that. I know one of you guys, not this class, okay? In a previous semester, he sent a message to, or she, I don't remember exactly the identity of the person. They sent a message to the dean stating that the class started late and now we're being forced to do a lot of work. Well, it's not me who chose that. It's the college who basically decides on certain sections to be available at different times to work with the schedule of the students. So you signed up for this class, and this is the fact. I have no control over it. As a matter of fact, the dean has no control over it. So this is the way it is. It's a short-term class, but because on your record it's going to show up the same, I'm going to talk about that, the student learning objective, the same SLOs, that means the same content has to be covered. So the same methods, the same everything, but because it's a short time, it requires a little bit more work on your behalf. So at times it becomes a little bit kind of too much, but that's part of the nature of the thing. So I'm hoping that you are proactive in your learning, that you are allocating, and we're going to talk about that, the proper time for this class to make sure that you don't fall behind. And once you finish, I know it's going to be a little bit intense, but once you finish, I'm hoping that you take a lot from this class and you feel good about it. Again, congratulations for being, I mean, at least I applaud your courage for doing that. And I know there are other sections also on campus. There is one in person, but that meets only once a week on Thursday evening, and that started also early. There is another two sections. I think one of them did not even start yet. So two other sections that are late starts. So this is basically for Astronomy 120. Some of you, I know for a fact, are taking the lab version of this class. The lab, we have two sections for this class, but they are separate. Okay, you don't have to take the lab if you as a matter of fact, you can take the lab because both labs have started already and the enrollment for them are closed if you did not sign up already for those labs. Okay. So the lab version of this class is on campus. There are two sections, as I said, one that meets on Tuesday and one that meets on Wednesday. I know for a fact that some of you in this very same class are already enrolled in those classes and they started a long time ago. For those who are in that situation, you really should not worry about the fact that what's going on in the other class because some of the concepts are not covered. If you noticed, that class is kind of a self-contained in the sense that the topics that are did not do yet in Astronomy 120, they should be fine. So this is just a note for those who are sitting in that class. The two classes are not related, which gives me another question in here, request for those who are in this very same situation. I know I'm teaching the Wednesday session and somebody else is doing the Tuesday session. If you communicate to the instructor, whether to me or to the other one, and the question is related to Astronomy 120, okay? But you communicate through the lab class, it may be confusing for me or for the other instructor. Granted, if you are sitting in my class and you're asking a question about the lab, although you are coming from this class or you're coming asking a question about this class, you're coming from the lab, I can probably see the difference in nuance. But if you are sitting in my class, Astronomy 120, and the instructor, you're taking the Tuesday class and you're sending him messages about midterms and stuff like that, it may be confusing. So I want you to be aware of where you are in the map, in the big scheme of things. So if you are again in Astronomy 120, Section 71, and you have a question about Astronomy 120, Section 71, please try to be specific that this is the question. In which case, if you send it to the other instructor, he would say, "Oh, I'm not teaching that class. You have to reach out to your instructor," and vice versa. Okay, so this is just a kind of overall, basically thing in here. Again, what the plan today is, I'm going to talk about the class, how it's structured, what is expected, and how to navigate your way through it, and hopefully do extremely well in it because that's my goal. Okay. Also, when I know we're still today, which is Friday, the February 20th, you will receive a message today about another meeting coming on Monday. That meeting has nothing to do with this meeting. Again, all of the meetings are optional in terms of attendance. What I mean by optional, you don't have to attend them live. You can watch the recording later, okay? So if you can't make it today, of course, you are not here if you are not here, but if you are here and you cannot make it, for example, for the Monday meeting, don't worry about it. It's going to be recorded and it's going to be posted to Canvas. The objective of today's meeting is just about the orientation and basically on how this course is structured and so on and so forth. Okay. And then the meeting on Monday is going to discuss a different topic. It's about the projects because this class, we'll see in the orientation today, has projects in it, or a project, not projects. But you have options in terms of which project to do. Okay. So the meeting on Monday is going to focus on that because the projects are due soon, in a sense that when you start working on them is soon, by the end of February. So I want you guys to make sure that you're ready for that. So you'll receive a communication from me today concerning that meeting that is coming on Monday at 9:45 in the morning. And on Monday morning at 8 a.m., you will receive the link for that meeting, which is not very sad, this link also. So it's a different link. So Monday morning, you will receive the link. If you can make it, again, I really appreciate the fact that you're in person in there because that can only make the topic richer by your questions and your involvement and engagement in the course. If you cannot make it, there is no problem. The recording will be posted that very same day to Canvas, and then you must watch the recording if you cannot make it in person, because engaging in the class you will see is important, is essential, okay? And it's a graded assignment. So you need to watch the recording, and hopefully all of your questions related to the projects are answered. One of them is not answered, or one of the issues still lingering because you did not raise it, you can ask a question, okay? Okay, how about this or that? Whether it's this meeting, I know some of you are probably going to be watching it later on recorded, or the next meeting, or any meeting we will have. Some of the questions are still lingering, so you're not here. I'm addressing the people who are watching the recording later on today for this very same orientation. Now, you have a question and you're not here to ask it, and something that is not clear, please send a message, okay? Send me a message and I'm going to talk about how you proceed about doing that. And I may answer it directly saying, here it is, or I may answer it in communication to everybody else, or I may postpone the reply until we have the proper information and probably tackle it at once, okay? So that's basically in terms of the general structure. Any questions so far for those who are here? Okay, very good. Thank you. So I'm going to go and share with you the screen and hopefully I can find it. Okay. Share. I want to see if one of them, at least if one of you guys with either a kind of a thumbs up or something to confirm that you guys are looking at a page that says Astronomy 120, Section 71. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so basically what I'm doing in here, I'm going to move this window because it's blocking my way to the other screen. Okay. And what I'm looking at in here is from your vantage point, how you look at the course. Okay. So this, if you notice on the bottom, it says leave student view or reset student, because I'm looking at the course the way that you look at it. Okay. So the course, the way this is structured, basically, this is the landing page when you come into it. That's called the home. Then you have announcements. Then you have modules. Then you have syllabus. Then you have grades. And these two are not honestly in use at this point, except probably my materials. And we're going to talk about the textbook and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, you have a question, you can send me an email like you used to. That's not actually good, honestly, because as I mentioned, I have other sections of Astronomy 120 and 125 in addition to two physics classes. So I have over 150 or something students. So if you send me an email, it really is a lot of work from me trying to find your class and your question, especially if the question is not really clear enough, saying that, oh, when is the exam, or I have a question about problem 3 from homework 2. I have no idea. I mean, I have to really, and then the names sometimes they're the same. Believe it or not, I have a lot of duplicate names from different classes, sometimes first and last name too. Okay. So especially if the email address is coming from something like and I had that in the past was like a Honda 19 Honda, what is it? I'm trying to remember. A Honda 1996, I think, at gmail.com. There is no person by that name in here, okay? Probably he likes his car so much or something that he made so much modifications on it. Or she, I don't have no assumptions about that. But the point is, if the email is coming from some sort of a generic email and with a generic question, it's almost impossible for me to even start looking for that assist. So, the best way to do business, the best way to communicate with me is coming to the inbox, okay, and this side. Because from the get-go, your email will pick up the course, okay? So I know that you're coming from Astronomy 120, Section 71. No questions about it. So in that case, if you're wondering about specific question related to a discussion or a specific homework or specific quiz, then I can at least zero in on the course, okay? At least I can come in there into the course, okay? So here is your best option, okay? Is to send me a message via inbox, okay? If it's an emergency, I think you will see in the course syllabus that I listed in here a phone number, and that phone number is actually my office number. I don't know if that's not the one. Okay, that's the emergency. Uh, Let me see. Do I have it in here? It's in the Canvas. It's probably under the syllabus. Okay, let's go to the syllabus since we're going to go to it anyway. So again, this is your landing page. The models is your bread and butter. Honestly, this is what you do on a regular basis. Okay. So you click in here or you click in here, it's going to take you to the same place. Okay. But because today is kind of special, this is orientation, and I hope, and I know I sent you a long time ago the syllabus of the course before even the course started, but let's go to it and just because we need to go through it anyway. So this is the syllabus on Canvas. Okay. There is another version of the syllabus, which is the printed version, which is actually from the home page also. Let's go back. The home page, this is the same syllabus that you should have received from me a long time ago, okay? About 2 weeks ago. It's not probably slightly less than that, okay? I didn't mean that a long time ago, like early in the semester or anything like that. So this is the online version of the syllabus. And here is the number I was referring to. This is my office number. You call there and it's going to leave me a message, but what it does also is going to send me an email too, okay? And granted, in here, when you call this number or send me an email, you really have to be specific. You have to tell me who you are, which class you're coming from, and be as thorough as possible, okay? So similar to the email, this is the same confusion that I will have. But if it's an emergency or something, this is probably a good idea to call. because then I will be notified in different ways. If I'm in the office, I will hear the phone ring. If I'm in not in the office, and you leave a message, then the message will come to me via email, and I will be notified via text message or all kinds of things that something is happening. Okay. If it is a regular message, this is the place, the inbox. That's where you send me the messages. I usually respond quickly, as I said before, depending on the scenario. Okay, if the question is going to be tackled anyway shortly, so I kind of defer it a little bit, but uh, I usually respond quickly to this, and even sometimes on weekend. But the what is guaranteed is Monday through Friday. I usually respond right away. You have like I don't know if you go through the syllabus, it tells you how long I have, but I do a lot less than that. Okay, and uh, the weekends, sometimes on Saturdays, I'm kind of a little bit busy with other things going on. But other than that, I usually respond to even Sundays. Sometimes I have other things also, or during kind of holidays or something. I may have family or be visiting or driving or something. But other than that, usually I respond quickly to messages. Okay, so that's the idea. My email address again is this one. But that's again, it's like a third option at this point. Okay. So the first option is the inbox to go there. I can't go to it right now because I'm logged in as a test student, and test student doesn't have an email with a campus. So if I go there, this canvas will throw an error. So I can't go it as at this point in here. But if I am the instructor, or if you are a student, you will be able to get in here and send messages. So when you send messages, it's going to come straight to me. And then the other thing, that's if you send me a message. But if you can, if you want to, you can send a message to one of your peers too. You can find them in the list or find her in the list in there and send them a message directly from Canvas. Okay. So especially if you are working together on some stuff, and we're going to talk about that too. Homework, namely, and projects. Okay. Uh, so again, the stuff in here is typical. I mentioned earlier that this course is structured no different than the other Astronomy 120, whether we being in person or the astronomy that is started before, or even the one that is going to start later. We are required to teach this content. So please go through it. And this is a topics actually that will be the objectives that we will go through. Okay. So, in a nutshell, what we're going to be learning, I mean, you can go through this in detail if you want to. What we're going to be learning is the methods and techniques used by astronomers. This is kind of a scientific method. Actually, it's a foundation of the scientific method, how science works really. And then we're going to learn about the astronomy, and there is a distinction in here between astronomy and something else that we're going to be learning in this class. Astronomy is mainly what is known as today backyard astronomy, where you go outside and you start looking at stuff in the sky and try to identify, for example, planets and the moon and the position of the sun and things like that, angles, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus and Mars and all of Venus and Mercury and the other things. Okay, and also recognize constellations, whether be it for example, Orion constellation, which is we're still seeing it now. It's going to go below the horizon by the end of probably sometime in the spring. Okay, but then other constellations, you have the Taurus, you have the Big Dipper, you have all kind of other constellations and other asterisms in there. Actually, the Big Dipper is an asterism, and you know how the shapes of these things work. Okay, and how they move in the sky, and how the Earth goes around its axis, how the Earth goes around the Moon, how the Moon goes around the Earth, and things like how the other planets move around. Okay. In addition to that, we have astrophysics, and that's required actually. And we are calling this one astronomy because that's how people called it in the past. Astrophysics is necessary because without it, we cannot know anything about nothing. Okay. For example, through observations, we can see the motion of the moons of Jupiter. Okay. And we can see basically measure the mass of Jupiter, all of it based on this observations and how the laws are governing and things like that. But to understand why is this is so, you really have to rely on physics. That's a minor contribution, honestly, compared to other things. How do we know how the sun's temperature is, or any star out there? How do we know the structure of the sun? How do we know what's going on inside the stars? How do we know the evolution of the entire solar system versus the galaxy, how the galaxy is interacting with other galaxies, how the whole universe is evolving, how the whole universe started, how the whole universe is going to end? A lot of these questions cannot be answered by astronomy. As a matter of fact, if you have the most powerful telescope out there, and I mean the James Webb, for example, and you point it to a star, arbitrary star, you're going to see a dot, okay? Without two other tools, spectroscopy, I mean. That's why you have to learn about light also, okay? A slide that's really going to help us understand temperature, understand structure, and things like that, okay? So we're going to learn about how we do those things. And again, I mentioned in the beginning the lab version of this class. The lab version in class, we do all of these things too in the lab, okay? And at the end, basically, we go through the entire cosmos. We learn the entire universe, okay? So everything out there. So that's basically in a nutshell what this course is all about, okay? So I mentioned here, first of all, the textbook should be available on Canvas. I mean on the bookstore. But I mentioned in here a software called Stellarium, okay? For those sitting in the lab, we use it extensively. Actually, even if you are not in this lab, it's a good idea to get used to it because, again, it's going to give me perspective on a lot of the things that we're learning in class, okay? So just to give you a hint of how that thing is structured, let me push this because I have the exam open on the other window. I don't want it to be seen. Let me stop sharing the screen in here with you. Where is the share button? Stop share. And let me share with you another screen, the other screen actually. This is basically what I mean. Does everybody look at what looks like I am some sort of a prairie? Can anybody confirm that? Okay, thank you very much, Vanessa. Anyway, so the point being in here is that this is what the software is. This is a free software, okay? This you can use anywhere you want to. This is not like the backyard of my house. This is some generic software. So if I want to, I can go and find basically and change the background in here to something more useful. The point in here, so let me remove the atmosphere because the atmosphere is the one that causes us not to see the stars during daytime, really, unless you are looking directly at the sun. Okay, here is the sun. And let me remove also the earth. Okay, so this is like we are floating right in the middle of nowhere, where we are right now, basically. And again, this software, like I said, is a useful software. Notice in here, actually, we are in a very good time right now. Actually, join this class, not just some use joins in the perfect timing because a lot of these planets, Mars, Venus, Mercury. Notice that Mercury appears to be further away from the sun than Venus is. And that's a perspective, okay? Imagine this is, it's me is a sun in here, and this is Mercury, okay? And this is this is Venus. So it appears Venus is closer to you right now, at least to the screen, than Mercury. But imagine Mercury is in this position, okay? And Venus is in this position. It's a matter of projection. It's still, this hand is actually closer to my face than this hand, okay? So the reason why I'm saying that is because they're going to switch by the end of this month. This two, by the end of this month, early March, these two, they swap places. Mercury will appear to be closer because we are all moving around the sun, okay? So right now, Venus appears to be closer than Mercury because Mercury is on the other side, just like I was positioning my hand. Now, this is the closer one to my face is Mercury, and this one is Venus, which is further away from the sun. If I move Mercury to this position, it's still actually closer to my face than this one that appears to be closer, okay? So that's basically the point I'm trying to argue in here. So we're going to learn about these things in here. The moon is we're in the new lunar month, so that's why the moon is uh, is uh, is in this phase. So let me get close to it. So this is how the moon appears today. If you actually not today, right now, okay? Right now the time is 11:30. That's a wrong time. It should be 9:30. It's a different location, okay? So it did not. Oh, UTC. Okay. No, UTC -6. Why is it -6? I think it's the wrong clock on my computer. Anyway, so this is how the moon appears right now. Imagine you have, this is a very powerful tool. As I said in here, it can give you a lot of these things that we're going to learn. So we're going to learn a lot of these things about the objects in the solar system. Uranus actually, that's why I was saying it's a perfect timing because all of these planets actually later on at night, they will rise as the sun sets. Imagine with me for a second, okay, that the sun goes below the horizon. Obviously, Mars will go with it. The other two planets will still be above the horizon. Add to them Saturn, add to them the moon, and it's actually perfect now to look at it because the moon is not in a full moon. So you can see Saturn very well. And far away, actually, it goes to show Jupiter. Here's a Jupiter, and all of the planet. And Uranus, you cannot see it with your eye. You really need a telescope to see it. And also, the other one should be somewhere in here too. Neptune. Okay, they're all visible with the same thing. So let me look at. Let me zoom in on Jupiter. And these are the four moons of Jupiter, Io. And again, Io appears to be kind of the same distance from let me stop the time, from Jupiter than Europa, but it's actually a lot closer. It's the same perspective. As a matter of fact, when we do the lab, for those who are sitting in that class, you will see at times that Europa will be closer to Jupiter. Again, this is not to go in detail about this class today, but just to give you an idea how useful that software is that I mentioned in there. And so let me go back and share that page. And let me move this out of the way. So again, this is actually useful software for us in here in this class. And we're going to probably be using some of it in here. The projects that we have, do not use it right now. I have actually third option for you guys that you may use it. And if I open that one up, I will give more basically training on how to use this software so that you can do that project, okay? So again, the typical stuff for this class, you have to understand you have three midterms and they amount to a lot of your grade. So they're by far the most important thing. Homework and quizzes, they're 30%. Projects are 10%. So that's why we have a very much important meeting this coming Monday dedicated to this topic, okay? Participation, and I'm going to talk about how that is done in this class, is 10%, okay? So the remaining of the things for the syllabus are typical stuff. This is the content. This is the things that are in there. So since I said in the beginning, your bread and butter in this class is going to be your modules. I can click on the modules in here from the left pane, or I can click on it from the in here. It doesn't matter, okay? It's going to take me to the same thing. Okay. If you notice that all weeks are listed in here for you guys to see. Some of them are great, and today actually only one of them is not great. Only one of them that is open. That's the first week that we started. And the way it's lined up with an 18 course lineup or 16 a week. But because I said in the beginning that your course is shrunk, so all of this are going to be compressed. So that's why week 2 actually opens up today at 2 p.m. Okay. So we're compressing the semester to meet the requirements. This is special. Please read that. And the main thing to take away from that is when you are addressing people in your class, think of yourself. How would you react if somebody says what you says to that person online? Okay, the tone sometimes matters. The way you address people sometimes matters. So please be mindful of these things. and about the rules in general, and hopefully you agree to it. If you agree to it, you're going to mark it as done. So I'm going to go click on it, and I'm going to mark it as done. Yes, I agree. So now if I go back to where I came from, let me go back home. No, modules again. It should give me a check mark that I agreed on that, okay? Then every week has objectives, okay, of when things are due and basically what is going to be learned in this week. And then we have a special assignment, okay? Some of you already raised the issue with week one discussion, okay? Because it seems like there are duplicates. Don't You're required only to answer one of them. It doesn't matter which, okay? I looked for trying to find the fix for it. I couldn't find it, and I don't know exactly why this assignment is duplicated. So I'm going to try to spend more time this weekend and find the issue. Now, if you did one, you don't have to do the other, okay? Again, this course was copied from the course that is full session and basically trying to shrink the dates and modify things. For some reason, some of these assignments were showing kind of a one, at least this one is showing duplicates. Again, please don't do both, okay? So here is your participation. Remember 10% of your participation. You're going to go through these items, okay? Here is what you're supposed to be doing in here, okay? You're supposed to read the instructions, and the instructions in here below is a brief description or whatever. So there is a video in here, and you're supposed to be, okay, I don't know what that is. Oh, that's somebody's else posting stuff, okay? So your peers already have started this assignment, okay? So again, you're supposed to read the unit, you're supposed to watch the video, you're supposed to see these things and answer this question. Here is a question. Explain the difference between coordinates used to locate objects on Earth and those on the celestial sphere. So if you read the unit, if you watch the videos, if you watch the explanations, you should know what is the difference between coordinates used on Earth, which are the longitude and latitude, okay? Sometimes they even use the altitude, basically the how high you are from the sea level. Okay, so if you go to a website, for example, that give you your geo coordinates, they might give you also the elevation with respect to sea level. But usually it's the longitude and latitude. And if you're at the unit, you know exactly where the longitude start from, the prime meridian, and it's measured in degrees. And you also would learn that the altitude is actually measured from from latitude, I'm sorry, is measured from the equator, and it's all the way to the North Pole is positive 90 degrees, and all the way to the South Pole is negative 90 degrees. Anything on the surface of the Earth can be located with this numbers, okay? For example, San Bernardino is 34 degrees north of the equator. That's our latitude. And our longitude is west 117 degrees, okay? With respect to the prime meridian that passes through somewhere in England, Greenwich, okay? But the celestial sphere uses different, okay? Uses the right ascension and the declination. So the right ascension is equivalent to the longitude, and the declination is equivalent to the latitude, but from the celestial sphere, okay? Not from the Earth perspective. You take the Earth and project it on the sky. And in that case, the distinction is that yes, the declination uses degrees just like the latitude, and it goes from the celestial equator all the way to where the North Pole is, where Polaris is, 90 degrees, and the opposite direction is negative 90 degrees. But the right ascension does not use degrees, it uses hours, okay? 24 hours for a full circle. So that's basically the answer to this one. So if you read the unit, if you understand what you're reading, watch the recording and everything, you should be able to engage with this one, okay? So that's where you get your full participation. Again, there is nothing, if you put things and they're wrong, it's not a problem as long as you make sure you read the units, okay? I'm not looking for a correct answer or right or wrong answer. I'm looking for actually you fully engaging in the class and making sure that you correct yourself if somebody else bring it up. Oh, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be backward. You say, thank you for the correction. And this is, yes, I got it. you got your full credit at this point. So I don't want you to guys copy this and paste it to some websites and then give me the answers. That's not what I'm after. Okay. What I'm trying to have you do is being an online class, and short of asking you a question in person and having you reply to me, I want you guys to read the units because that's what the online class does. Watch the recordings, ask questions if need be, engage with your peers, and then hopefully you progress to the next units and so on and so forth. And what I'm trying to catch in between in here is you doing these things, what you're supposed to be doing anyway. Okay. Is this clear for at least those people who are here? Okay, thank you. Because sometimes it may be kind of confusing for some people thinking that this is some sort of a homework assignment that, oh, if I get it wrong, I'm going to be probably getting zero in this. No, it's not about that. It's about you doing what you're supposed to be doing. Getting it right or getting it wrong is another story. You're not going to be receiving, you're not going to being ducked a point at all if you get it wrong, as long as you do what you're supposed to be doing. That's it. That's all I'm looking for in here. Okay. Now, that's one thing. Again, the flat earth is really an introduction for you. That's also another discussion. And let's do this weekend. I'm going to extend it a little bit probably. Okay. So I'll try to give you a little bit more time. Granted that some of you just signed up for the class a little bit late. So I'm going to extend it at least to allow for those people. Okay. Okay. So that's something that I need to do. And then the content. The content is really a summary of what you're supposed to be learning in this week, okay? So it's really kind of in a nutshell what's going on, okay? So don't rely on it. Don't rely on my recordings also that they're going to cover everything. No, we don't, okay? Uh, I'm relying on you, and these are actually those are two PowerPoints only for these 2 units. Again, please don't rely on the PowerPoints alone or the recording. So I will go to week 1 in here. You will see that I have some recordings, but these recordings are, let me click on them just to see the time, okay? Okay, where do I pause?
Hi, welcome to you.
So this is a 12-minute video. It's about the unit itself. I'm going through the PowerPoint in here trying to explain the concept. They run anywhere between 10 probably to 20 minutes. I think I have seen one that is 20 minutes or some 18 minutes, but most of the time they're actually a lot less than that, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 13 minutes, like this one is 12 minutes, okay? So those are short videos, so hopefully you guys go through them and basically hopefully to answer some of your questions. But you're supposed to be reading the units. I don't have the book with me here, but the book is actually divided not into chapters. It's divided into modules, okay, into units. And those units, they're actually tailor-made for us because then you notice that the first unit we're starting from is unit 5. So what happens to unit 1, 2, 3, and 4? Well, because we have to cover, so you have seen what we're supposed to be covering. We have to cover so much content, and we don't have a full year to do that. We have only a semester to do that. So we are picking up the topics that I'm sure will get all of these objectives basically met. Okay. But there are some gaps in there that you can actually, on your own leisure, go ahead and read them if you want to. Has to do with the history, has to do with historical significance, has to do with things that are not probably part of immediately our objectives. Sometimes, for example, for the inner planets, the units go detailed: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and so on and so forth. The outer planets, they go in detail also for Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and they go about how they were discovered and so on and so forth. We don't have that time. If we do that, we just go through the solar system and be done with it. So we miss half of our objectives. We can't do that. So instead, I picked up, for example, the unit on Mercury, not even Mercury, the unit on Venus and the unit on Earth. Earth is essential because of the fact that we live on it and we have a lot of tools to know how it is. So it serves as a basis for everything else. So we have powerful tools to help us basically learn about its structure, about its geology, about its weather, about its atmosphere, and everything else. And we take from what we know about Earth and we see if we can project it on other planets. But now I have a choice. I can't do all four inner planets. We can do Mercury, but if we do Mercury, we don't do anything else. We can do Venus. If we do Venus, we can do anything else. We can do Mars, and it's interesting probably to do Mars, but I opted for Venus. The reason why is because it has so many similarities in terms of physical size and mass and everything else like the Earth, but it has so much differences also. In other words, here is the Earth that we know, and here is something that should look like the Earth, but it is not. Hopefully that drives the point. Okay. When we go to the outer planets, we do something similar. And when we start learning about the rest, so that's why the book is divided into units, and each unit is actually only a few pages long. Each unit is like 6, 7 pages. It's not like you're looking at a chapter that has about 45 pages. No. So you're looking at condensed content. So when I say unit 5, you're reading it. You could read it, I mean, 6, 7 pages, you could read it in half an hour if you're just going through, scanning through it. If you want to focus on it and understand things on it, probably you spend 45 minutes reading that unit. Okay, so it's not really a lot of reading. Aided with the videos, hopefully that makes that reading a little bit smoother. Okay, granted, a lot of this content, and I understand some of you are not in the background of science and things like that, so some of the terminology can be a little bit heavy, but hopefully the videos are in here to smooth that thing there and make it a little bit easy to read. Okay, so let me go back into the models to see how things are structured. Every week is similar to this week, except we don't have the rules in here. We have it only once. We have objectives, we have content, we have discussions, we have more units now because, again, we're supposed to cover so much content. Again, we have to do that. And now we have a quiz, okay? This quiz is only 12 questions, so it's a short quiz. And then we have the same stuff in here. We have video recordings. By the way, today's session will be posted in there, okay? After we record it, we're going to post it in week. That says week 2, but it's still happening in week 1, okay? And then week 3 is similar. So you see the structure. We only have one unit on that week. We have a homework assignment, okay? There are some resources in here. This homework is due way back in March. As a matter of fact, I'm going to change the date because this happened to be in spring break. So we're going to change that because we can't have things that are due during the break, okay? And then you will get resources for this one. Don't worry about it. Okay, I don't know how to do this homework. Send me a message. Or you're going to see that there are some videos on my channel. I'm going to give you the links for them that should be able to help you with that. Okay. Again, there are more units here. What I was talking about, help with homework 1. That's actually a link. That's a video. Okay. You go in detail about it. So there are all kind of resources available. So homework 1, the next week, hopefully you have spent some time thinking about it. Okay. When I say the next week for your class, it's the next day. This is February 22nd, which is what day, February 22nd? Sunday? Going to be available for you. Then Monday, it's going to be available immediately as a resource for you to see how to do that. So hopefully, I mean, for the regular extended class, they will have a little bit more time to have that homework, hopefully kind of drive them a little bit. Oh, maybe this is hard, maybe this is easy. But then they will get the help that they need for that. My objective is not to challenge you to do stuff. My objective for you is to do those things. Because once you do your homework and you have your hands dirty, basically, with that assignment, you take ownership of it. You know how it's done. I could give you the solution. So please don't refrain from seeking somewhere else outside the resources. Try to do your homework. If you can't do it, that's fine. Follow the steps as I outlined and do them. Because once you arrive at a number yourself, it clicks better. You retain more. It makes more sense for you than anybody else. And you become convinced of it that this is how it's supposed to be. So that's the objective, is for you to do those things. Not to challenge you and say, haha, I caught you. You can't do it. That's not my objective at all. Okay. That's not how it's supposed to be happening at all. Okay. So again, hopefully you do that. And that's the same stuff in here. We have more assignments recorded. So you see now the pattern repeats. Okay. You have quizzes. And this, I'm going to defer it to Monday's meeting. Again, we're meeting on Monday to discuss how we're going to tackle this. Okay. You have one of them. Projects, choose one. Don't do both. Either this or that. Okay. And this is, you can, again, for the homework, I didn't mention that, you can work in teams. You don't have to do things by yourself. As a matter of fact, you're encouraged to work with people. Granted, some of you are all over the place. That's why we have Canvas. You can reach out to people and you can start working with them. Hey, how did you do this? How did I got this? I got that. Project similar. I mean, it's going to be hard to do the projects, honestly, far away because you're supposed to go out and look for the moon. But if you can meet, and there are a lot of you who can meet, I know for a fact that some of you actually come to campus, then it's a good idea to do these projects together. Okay. And then we have midterm review. And sometimes we will have our midterm. Okay. Wait a minute. There is something wrong in here. Review. I'm going to change the dates. Again, these dates are a little bit not correct in here. So I'm going to fix that date. Okay. That's in a sense basically what this course is all about. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm going to fix that. Yeah, it's about the midterm. They just picked up again, as I was saying, or moving things, and as I was moving things, the dates are a little bit out of whack. So I'm going to fix them. Okay. Any other question? Nope. Okay. It took a little bit long meeting. I was hoping, I mean, I was thinking that maybe the meeting could last for about half an hour. No, it took more than that because people who are going to be watching it are going to be probably saying that this is a too long of a meeting. So we're going to end it in here. If you have any questions, please send them over. And thank you very much for coming to the meeting. Thank you. Where is the stop recording? Here.